Hello my beautiful friends on the internet, how you are doing? Okay, so welcome to another video. Today we are going to be looking at something amazing. And also for this tutorial I've decided to use one of my apps. It's called Blocker, so I'll be using it to demonstrate how this works. So what we are going to be building today is actually a in-app tutorial, yeah, let me put it that way, in-app tour tutorial. So sometimes in a case, let's say you're working for a client, or you're building a company project, or you yourself, you're building an app, and you want to show first-time users how to use your app, like various buttons to click and what the buttons does, what the test field represents, and all this stuff. So you want to show them, give them a tour of how your app works. So that's what we are going to be doing in this video today, and it's going to be pretty straightforward and simple. Okay, so the first thing you want us to do is go to your pop.dev. But before this tutorial I've actually tried a lot of packages, and so far I think this tutorial coach Mark was able to give me what I wanted. And the fact that I love it again is because it has an unfinished callback. So once the tutorial is finished for that page, you can actually maybe save it to a shared preference so that you won't show the user that same tutorial again when they come the next time. All right, so it's to only show for new users. So it's pretty much good and straightforward. So I will urge you to just like go through it and see how it works and all that. So since I've already created this before, I think I don't really need to follow this tutorial back to back. All right, it's just going to be a cool one. So looking at this package, you can see it supports every platform that Flutter supports. Okay, and it's actually null safe. So without much talk, let's go to our project. Because I'm actually using my previous project, and this app doesn't, for now it's not really compatible 100% with iOS, so that's why you're seeing all this error, so just omit it. It's actually available on Play Store. You can search it. It's called Blocker, so the name of the app is Blocker. All right, so quickly, first thing we need to do, because looking at my POXPEC.yaml file, you will notice that I've not added any dependency yet. All right, like for the tutorial coach stuff. All right, so what we need to do now is to add Flutter pub, add this guy. All right, so it's going to install the dependency and everything that will be needed for us to build. So quickly, this app has various pages. It has the home page, it also has the add site page, you also have the settings page. So for this tutorial, what I'll be doing is just to add the in-app tour for this page. Yeah, this add page. All right, so I'm going to add to this guy to show you, okay, this is where you see your name. I'll also add, this is where you see your life, and also add to this guy, this is where you get more life, and also I'll add to these 3 test fields, and also add to this save button. All right, so once it's completed, it will return a callback finished. Then we can go ahead and save that stuff to shared preference. All right, and all that, but I think I won't be handling that. Oh, let's see how it goes though. Let's see how it goes. All right, so quickly, it has been added to my POXPEC.yaml file. You can see it here. All right, so I just do a quick hot restart, and quickly I'm going to go to, so the next thing I'm going to do is to create the list of targets I want to target. So far I've already told you guys that I'm going to be showing the targets for this name icon, the live, the get more live button, the website URL, and the rest. All right, so quickly what I'm going to do, I'm going to create, maybe go inside my util file. I don't know if it will be suitable under utils, but I think what I'm going to do is just to go to utils and maybe create a folder in there, which is not really nice. I'll just create a file actually, so I'll call it in. So for in-app tour, it normally has a target, so that target will represent each of the pages and what you want to do, and it works with keys, so you need to make sure you have your global keys in order. So we have an in-app tour target.dat. Okay, so inside here we are going to be creating our targets, and this guy actually comes with an in-app target, so you need to use your target focus. Yeah, and I will call this let's say add site targets. Okay, because that's the name of the page. All right, so once that is done, we can quickly do something like this. Okay, so we need to actually define each of the global keys that we need, but for now I don't really know the global keys that we need for this guy. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to quickly locate that page, which is this outside page. So looking at it now, since I said I want to show for this guy one, I want to also show for this one, I want to show for this one, and this 3 test feed, and also the save button. So that means we'll be having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 keys. All right, 7 global keys. So what I need to do now to locate the icons, I will just have the first key, which is going to be a global key. All right, it's going to be straightforward though. So we have the various global keys we need. So I can just have something like, okay, final, this is name. Yeah, so I'll just call it name key, and it's going to be a global key. All right, then I'll duplicate, since I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so I'm just going to duplicate that to 7 places. Okay, this is 6 already. Then I'm going to change this one to live. Okay, live key, or let me just call it heart key. All right, and this one now is going to be get more live button. Okay, let's say live button key, and this one will be website URL key. So I'll just call it URL key, and I'll call this one duration key, and I'll call this one reason key. Okay, grab on there. All right, reason key, and I'll call this final one save key. All right, so quickly what we need to do, also if you're creating custom widgets, you want to make sure that you actually expose the key property. All right, when you're creating a custom widget or whatever you're creating, yeah, to expose it if you want to add in-app tour to that particular widget. All right, so the first one now goes to okay, so this okay, this welcome and live is not actually inside this page. Okay, so I think I will not be handling it, because if you go to my home page, you can still see it. So it's actually inside this my main activity page. Yeah, if you look here, you're going to see the hello and welcome. So it's not really inside that same page. So for that, I think if I want to handle it, I will need to handle it differently, like handling it inside the main activity and then coming to the other page to handle it and all that. So I think for now, I will just remove the heart key and the name key. So we are only going to show the tutorial for this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy. So basically we are looking at 5 items now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, these 2 are going to be inside the main activity because it's a different page. All right, so quickly what we are going to do now, this get more live button. If you look here, we have get more live button, and so we have our container. So what we can do is just to create the key property, and we can say live button key. All right, we just have to pass the key there. Awesome. So the same thing happens when we have our website URL. So locate the website URL. So this is it. I'm just going to set the key, and I will call it URL key. And we have this guy for duration. We also have to set the key for duration as well, and come down here for reason. I will set the key too for reason. And finally we have our save button, which is this guy. Okay, so we're just going to set save our key to save key. Awesome. So that's pretty much it. We have been able to define all our keys so far, and nothing is happening right now because we have not really triggered the in-app tour stuff. All right, so quickly, since I said I'm going to be having for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, I'm going to create in-app tour for that outside target. So this is more like the page, so we can just say outside target page. And if you want to handle other pages, you can create their own targets and all that. So that's how it flows. So quickly, because we have 4 keys here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to be creating 4 keys as well for these guys. All right, so let me just copy this a little bit and come down here. So I'm going to create, it's going to be more like a constructor. Okay, yeah, it's going to be a constructor in here. So quickly, what I'm going to do is just to set these guys. I'm going to remove this. I think this guy shouldn't be here. All right, I just want to use this name as reference, nothing much, so I'm going to delete it later. So the first thing I'm going to do is just have it's going to be required. Every key there are going to be required. So I'll have my global key, and I'll call this one live button key. Okay, so I hope this is not going to be long, but we are just going to try, to make everything simplified. All right, so we have our required key, and I'm going to duplicate it to 5 places. Okay, 1 2 5, and this one is going to be URL key, and this is going to be duration key, and this is going to be reason key, and finally we have our save key, okay, for that particular page. Awesome. So now we have those guys out. We are going to remove this one. So I just created them as a constructor. So whenever we are calling the add targets page, we just have to pass the keys, which are these keys inside, okay, as a parameter. All right, so now we are going to create our list of targets, and what I need to do now is just to add a list. So I will call it target focus. Okay, so it's going to be targets, and initially I want to set it to an empty array. All right, so firstly I need to add a first target. So the first target I want to target is this get more life, right? So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to add a target focus. So this target focus, make sure you close it. So this target focus takes a property of the key target that you want to target. So for this key target, which is this first guy, is going to be the get more life. All right, so I'm going to put this get more life button inside there. And if you hover, you can see it has so many properties you can work with, right? So, and this key target is actually a global key, right? So moving on, I'm going to it also has a skip, align skip, whatever you want to align your skip. Let's say you want to align it to the top left. You're going to see how all this works. So let's say align. What am I spelling? Get out of here. Okay, alignment dot we can use something like top right. So I want it to be at the top of this page when it's showing like a skip button. All right, and moving on, we have a radius. You can define the radius of how you want it to look like. So I want the radius to be 10 to just give it a nice feel. And you can set the shape. So the shape can be so many shape, but so far I think the best shape that has worked for me is this light focus dot that rect. So you can actually use circle, yeah, but this one has been so amazing for me. So it just gives me what I want and make the UI looks cool. So it depends on you. You can just experiment and see what you are going to get. So lastly, another one is the content. So this content define the message you want to show to the user. All right, so the first thing we'll need to do, this content is not like a normal widget, okay, it's actually a list of target content. All right, so we're going to have a target content. So that target content, you can also align the text. So wherever you want the text to be, let's say above the widget or below the widget, but in this case I think having it at the top is actually amazing. So I'll just have it at the top, which is more like, yeah, content align. It doesn't take normal text align. I think it's, let's hover. Yeah, it takes content align. Okay, you can see that. So it takes content align, so you can set it to top. And secondly, it takes a builder property. So this builder is more like it has a context and a controller, and now we can return any widget we want to return. All right, so in this case I'm going to be returning a container. I think this is more like what I'm going to be using for all of them. And the alignment is just like our normal alignment. So I'll set it to center. So you can just go ahead and like experiment with all these properties and see what you want. But so far, this is more like the best so far that I've seen in terms of creating a tutorial, in-app tutorial and all that. So we can create a cross-axis alignment. So this is more like me creating a widget. So I'm just using all these steps because I've created this stuff before. All right, so it just stays stuck in my head and I know the values that I used initially to make everything look cool. So you can just experiment on your own. So don't just copy and paste whatever I'm teaching you here. So, and we are going to have a children. So this children is more like our test widget that we have. So here we can define the first one, which is the get more life. So I can just say this is the button to get more life. Okay, yeah, so we're just telling the user, yeah, So this button is going to tell us, okay, get more life, that's what it does and all that. So I'm also going to add okay, let's close this guy up, and inside here I'm just going to set the alignment property of how I want it to look like. So in this case, I want the text align to be at the center, so it's not going to be let's just maybe see justification, I don't know, but I just want it to be at the center. You guys already understand what all these guys works. So my style widget, I can have a style, so I'm just like styling my text. So in your case, you can actually maybe do something like styling the color, the font size of what you want. So in this case, I want the color to be colors.white. All right, so I think this works, and so far I think we're actually pretty much good to go. So I'm going to create this constant. Okay, so I don't know why this guy is showing, but let's see if it requires a widget. The same thing. Do you need a constant? I'm just wondering. Okay, it needs a constant. Yeah, so we got that guy, and you can see so far we have created our first target. All right, so this is pretty cool. This is cool so far, but we are having error somewhere because we need to return these targets that we have added, right? So this is more like the first targets. Okay, so we can return, let's say return targets, okay, that we can use. So we can just return the targets that we just added. All right, awesome. So now the error is gone. But looking at this now, we only added one target, which is for this get more life. If we run this thing and execute everything, we are only going to get tutorial for this one life. But now, from what I said initially, I want to show for all these other guys, right? So what I need to do, I will just have to like duplicate this guy. Okay, so this one is going to be for URI. So I'll just duplicate it 1, which is for URI. I will duplicate it again 2 for duration. Okay, yeah, I'll also have another one again for the restriction, like a reason, yeah, which is this feed. And okay, something is wrong. What did I do? Okay, all right, so finally we have another one for the save button. All right, we'll keep that guy there. So that's pretty much everything we need now for the tutorial. We have added all the targets so far and returned them. So the first target is pointing to the live button key. The second target is going to be pointing to the URI key, so I need to change this key to the URI key. And also I will change the text, so this is where you impute your URL, something like that. This is all right. So if you don't know, Blocker is actually an app that helps you block websites. You can also set the duration of how long you want a site to be blocked, and it will handle that. All right, so we have changed the URI key, and the next one is going to be the duration key. So going down, I'm going to change this live key to duration, and also copying this text as well. So I'll put it here. So it's just going to be, this is where you impute your the duration to block a website. Awesome. So this is pretty much cool. And then secondly, we have is it duration? Okay, reason. Okay, reason key. Okay, this is where you specify the reason for blocking a website. Okay, this is where you specify the reason for blocking a website. Okay, and lastly we have this guy, which is for the save key, and we have, yeah, click here to, okay, awesome. So this is pretty much everything we need. You can see we have created the targets for each of the feeds, the button, the widget, everything that we want to like show tutorials for. All right, so moving on, I think we are pretty much okay with this. So inside here now you can like create other targets. Let's say you want to create target for your dashboard page, you can just create another list target, just like this. Just duplicate this and create another target for it. Depending on how many targets you want to like show tutorials on, you can create their keys and add all the targets with their description and all that. Yeah, awesome. So going back now, we are going to the add site page, which is this guy here. So quickly, what we need to do now, since we have already defined our keys, and the next thing I'm going to do inside here is to define the tutorial coach mark variable. So I'm going to create it as a late tutorial coach mark, and I'm just creating an instance of it, tutorial coach mark. And the next thing I'm going to do now is to actually create an init state to initialize the in-app tool. All right, so I'm going to create this as a function, init state. Okay, initialize, let's say add, I know that name looks pretty long, so I'm going to initialize this tutorial mark now. And you need to do this for every pages that you want to show tutorials on, because this target now will now represent the target that you actually want to target. So in this case, we want to target the add site target page. All right, so I'm just going to copy that and set it as the target here, and you want to import that guy. And so far I think this guy is returning errors because it requires some parameters to be passed. Okay, so that's not a big deal. We can just do that now. We already have all our keys. So the first key now I'm going to pass is actually, let's say we have our live key, and I'll pass our live key here. We have our URI one, which is the save key. Okay, so once we have the target, the next thing I'm going to do is actually to set the color shadow, like the kind of color you want the background to look like. So I don't know which one will be good, but let's just try different colors to see what works. So for this, because the app color is white, I'll be using colors of red. And the padding focus, okay, I think you can just experiment with this as well. So I won't really tell you how to do. So you can decide to hide skip. So if you want to hide the skip, you can set it to true. You can set it to false. I think by default is actually false, so the skip is going to show. So in this case, let's just set a value. So we just toggle this value later on. Or okay, let's go with hide skip for now. Let's just say it's false. So I want you guys to see how the skip shows. And now we can set the opacity of the shadow that is going to show. So in this case, I just want to set it to 0.8 to give it some transparent look, transparent feel. Then on finished. So at this unfinished page, this is where you set the value to maybe a shared preference and say, okay, add site has been showed for that particular user. You understand? You can just save a specific value through to in-app site store. Then in your init state, you can search inside the shared preference and see if it's actually available or not. All right. But this unfinished, we just have to print a test and say completed. So the same thing happens too, because we have other properties too. You can say on skip, in case the user skips that tutorial, you can just maybe save it, or you can maybe tell the user, hey, we are going to show you this later in the future, something like that. Yeah, so it has so many callbacks which you can work with, and so depending on you, on what you want, what your client wants and all that, so you can just go through them and work with each of the properties. Awesome. So I think moving on, we are pretty much close to the end of this video, so I'm going to quickly see how we can show the in-app tool. All right. So the first thing you want to do in this case now is to first of all initialize the in-app tool, whatever you're doing. So we have an init state somewhere around here. So we have init state. You want to make sure you initialize the in-app tool first thing. Okay, you initialize it before you show it. Okay, so showing it is more like triggering. Let's say we create a function here. I'll just create a void function that will handle showing of. I will just create a void function that will handle show in app tool for this page alone. Okay, so you might want to maybe make it private or something like that. Also, this one you might also want to make it private to this class, because if you are creating for other pages, you still have to define the same thing too. Okay, so show in-app tool, we can just call our tutorial mark, which is this guy here, because before we show it, we assume that it's already been initialized and the instance has been created, because we are calling this initialize in-app tool first. So this is just a function we are just going to call tutorial. So I think for my own sake, I want to like call it for like 2 seconds. I want to show it, so I'll just add a duration. This is just a test case. You can still use it on your own, so we can add a duration of 1 second delay before we show the stuff. Okay, so we can just call tutorial mark, okay, dot show, then you pass in your context. Awesome. Okay, so this is great. So once that is done, you can call our show, or let's say 2 seconds, then it's going to show. So because by that time the in-app tour will just be initialized, has been initialized already. So here now we just have to like show in-app tour. Okay, so this is pretty much cool. I don't know why I don't know how to spell show. Okay, so yeah, so and that's it. I think we are pretty much okay. All right, so now I'm just going to do a hot restart to see how this guy works. And yep, so once we come here, we're not going to see any in-app tour because we didn't define in-app tour inside this home page. We only define it when the user gets to add. So wait for 2 seconds. You should see how cool it is. It's showing this is the button to get more life, and once you click on it, it takes you to the next target, which is the URI. This is where you input your website URI to block, and you click, it shows you the duration as well. You click, it shows you the reason for restriction, and finally it shows you the test. So once we click on this guy, you should see it's going to print an unfinished callback, which is completed. So at this point is where you're going to save your stuff to shared preference. So let's just assume you've created your shared preference, so you save the status. So for that, I'm going to be using a Boolean flag to test, to show us. So I would say is saved equal to initially is going to be false. So let's say the user have not saved. So calling this in-app tour, I will just do something like okay, let's say cut this. I will say this is where you can just maybe fetch inside your shared preference or something like that. So I will just say if is saved is equal to false, then show in-app tour. So you're only showing in-app tour when is saved is false. All right, so let's before I test that, I want to show you guys something else again. Remember I told you that I used a rec, which is this guy. So I'm going to change one of it to something like circle to show you guys how it works. Okay, so let's do a hot restart. All right, and I'm going to go to this guy. You're going to see, because this guy is false, that's why it's showing. That means the user have not saved this guy. The user have not seen this guy. All right, so I'll click next, and you will see that it will have, you can see the skip icon here when you skip. So you can decide to show skip, set it to hide skip, set it to true, because sometimes you may not really want users to skip the whole stuff. So you can just set skip to false, all right, to true, sorry. All right, so once it shows you cannot see the skip and users cannot skip it, they must pass through the in-app tour process. So looking at this get more life, and if I click, you will see that, remember the second one I actually use circle, so you're going to see how it's going to show, which is not nice. Yeah, at this point user does not know where to click to get rid of this stuff. You cannot just click anywhere and it doesn't work. You must click on the website URI. So I don't really like this circular one, so I just prefer the rec. So I don't know what your preference would be, so whatever it is, but I will just suggest go with the rec. So clicking on website URI, it takes us to the rec on. This is where you impute the duration on how long you want to block a website, and yeah, restriction and all that, you save, and that's pretty much it. You get a response through. All right, what about, okay, I think I still need to show you guys more things. So if we set this guy now to true, it's never going to show. Yeah, it's not going to show because it has been set to true. So at this point we assume that the user has already, okay, this is not working. So we assume that the user has already seen the in-app tour, so whatever you do is not going to show. So this is at the point I want you to like create a shared preference for it. All right, quickly, I think I just have to show you guys how to create that shared preference and then we move on. All right, I already added shared preference on my, so this is not really part of the tutorial, but we are going to do it. So I already have shared preference inside my app. So what I'm going to do now inside this guy, I think I'm still going to create it inside this target, okay, for simplicity. But for tutorial sake, for a real life production app, don't do that. You should have a particular class where you have your, let's say a provider, you can have a DB. Okay, let me just create inside my provider. I will call it in app tour. This is not really nice, but let's just do it like that. Storage, okay, that. So inside here, I'm going to create a class. Save add save storage, save in app tour, okay, So inside here, I'm going to initialize shared preference. So it's going to be a future of shared preference. Okay, so I will call it data. Let's just call it like that, and I will call it shared preference dot get instance. All right, so inside here I'm going to have something like save add site, save add. You can have so many shared preferences here. That's I'm just making the name to be specific, based to be unique based on the name of the page. So I can call this add site status. Okay, so we can have something like final data, no, not data, let's say value, so equal to then we can call something like so this should be an async. Okay, so I can await this guy data like so. So here I can just call value dot set bool, and I will say save. Okay, add site is going to be the name of the key, and I will set it to true. So whenever we call this guy, we are actually setting it to true. So once it calls finished, we are saving it. Once it calls finished, we are saving it, just like that. Then we're also going to have a value that is going to read if this guy has been saved or not. So here I'm going to return a Boolean flag. So I will call it get add site status. Okay, so we have a async callback, and I also have my value, the same thing for this guy. All right, so I'm going to quickly check if a value that contains this key, which is add site key that we have here for add site. So if it contains it, what I need to do is just get the value. So I'm just going to have final get data equal to value dot get key, get bool, sorry, and I'm going to say add site like so. And quickly I'm just going to return the get data because I know it's already a Boolean flag, so we need to do it like this, and you can make it a bool and nothing happens. Get bool variable can be assigned to the value of bool, blah blah blah. Okay, so it needs this guy. Else, so if it does not exist, what we just need to do is just to return false, because we just assume at that point that the user has not created anything. All right, so quickly what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go to my add site. So where we have this guy unfinished, I'll just have to call this guy save in-app tour. Okay, save in-app tour dot save site status. So once it calls unfinished, it will be saved. All right, and at first inside my init state where I'm calling this guy now, I'm going to quickly call the save this guy dot get status dot then. So I'm going to listen to the value. So if value is equal to true, okay, so if the value is equal to true, that means the user already seen the state. Okay, we show nothing. So what I need to do is just to check for one case. So if value is equal to false, that means the user have not checked for it. I will just have to show something like this. Okay, remove this guy. So for every 2 seconds it's going to check save in-app tour, get add status dot then. If value is equal to false, so we can print something, value is already true, user already seen it. All right, so this is pretty much it. Once it's on finish, we save. You can also do the same thing on skip and then save it, assuming you want to show skip. All right, let's move on. I'll do a hot restart now, and yep, once it gets to this page, you should see we are going to see the in-app tour and everything is showing. But at this point, if the user backs out of the app, okay, I don't like this thing that is showing like this. Let's quickly change it to rec. So at this point, if users back up of the app, like they go back, it's not going to be saved because we assume that the user have not really finished everything. So if the user still comes back to that page, they're still going to see the in-app tour. So it's going to get cleared whenever they click on the last item, like the last target, which is this guy. If user gets to this target and they don't click on it, they exit, it's not going to show. But in this case, you can see it's showing user has not seen this page because this is actually the first time that the users are coming here. You can see user has not seen this page, then it's showing the tutorial. So if you click on save, it has been saved because we have this completed, so it has been saved. So if we start now, if user comes back to this page again, they're going to see this user has seen this page and that in-app tour is not going to show. So watch what happens. User has seen this page, okay, and the in-app store is not going to show. So that's pretty much everything, guys, that I want you to see. And thank you so much for watching, and do not forget to subscribe, like, and share to your friends. If you have any complaints, put it down in the comment section below. And also don't forget to download Blocker app. It's actually available on Play Store. So just go to Play Store. Yeah, you can see Blocker is actually an app. Is for now is actually available for Android users. So don't forget to download it. Don't forget to share with your friends. So it blocks the website and apps. It helps you to stay focused and all that. So it's available for Android. And I want you guys to help me get this stuff to like 5,000 plus downloads. Yeah, 5,000 plus. Yeah. So I believe you guys can do this. Yeah. So just support me with that little thing, and I'll be so happy for everything. So that's what Blocker does. You can install it on your Android device and see how it works. Okay, for now it's not really available on iOS. And yeah, so thank you so much, guys, for watching. I appreciate your time. You can go ahead and follow and like Tutorial Coach Mark, and I'll see you guys in the next video. One thing, I think I cannot really share this code because it's more like a project, so I cannot really share or create the GitHub repository for it, but you can look through their documentation to learn how it's worked. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. I will see you all in the next video.